we have this question that says, can you address the value of the use of the Tattvas? Should we live by this philosophy? Okay. And I guess first of all, if you're going to adapt a philosophy, I don't think that you should really ask anybody, should you adapt it? Because there's so many of them. So what literally would happen in all of this is that you would keep being introduced to different people's philosophies. And if they didn't astringe it, meaning try to synthesize it as best as possible, that's why I love working with etiology, because it allows me to synthesize things. I like working with this dual component of the brain because it allows me to explain everything from these trinary aspects of how things work and then get a full picture of what's happening that's also easily conveyed to you. You experience it also in your life. So it should be also easy for you to explain. But with the Tattvas, which I'm not saying anything negative about, but wow, the aestheticism, meaning that I like to look at these kind of forms of awareness like sometimes straitjackets. At the end of the day, what can you do? Meaning that there becomes so many different notations about what you're not doing the right way. You just start actually developing, and that's what I wanted to get to here just now, was you develop this what would be rather limited, kind of morbid, lonely state of consciousness where you're not having fun is what I'm saying. It becomes like the straitjacket where it's like, okay, well, I need to do this, I need to do this, I need to do this, and I need to do this in order to begin to inherit this level of awareness. Now, what happens if there was a joke played where somebody actually listed 500 things? And only if you accomplish these 500 things would you ever reach nirvana. How many people would utterly fail at trying to accomplish that? It would be a lot. So it seems like to me, especially when I look at many of the altered traditions, meaning somebody else literally moved in, philosophers, Confucianism, all these different things, and started creating tons of rules. It's like looking at the Judaic approach to determining how many sins one can commit. Thousands and thousands of sins that we commit at every single moment. But then what you're left with is you're left in this straitjacket where you feel like everything that you're doing is the wrong thing. And I've seen the result of that consciousness because I've been in it. And what happens is that you slowly regress, you wither away, especially from the exploration and especially from enjoying the world and the experiences and the gifts that you were given. And all of that starts to basically go into this singular lonely state of consciousness where you're not interacting and you're doing nothing in actually forward your level of being aware of the joy of the creation. And so many have done this now. This is why they're escapists. They want to leave the world. They want to get away from this. They want this to stop. And they're not actually seeing the purpose and having the gratitude of the purpose of why all these things are actually here and why these are like tools for us in a toolbox. All the different choices that we can make when we say even do what thou wilt, that's extended because of the range of the spectrum of the different things that can actually be done. So if we limit ourselves only to one aspect of it, i.e. this is what I need to do to become better, I have a big saying for that. I was in the shower and I thought about it. It came to my mind and said, Sevan, you're trying to get somewhere that you already are at. And it said it just like that. You're trying to get somewhere that you're already at. And it reflected once again that whole thing to where, like we talk about the corpus, the superior brachium being on the back of the head. So Jesus on the cross and all of that kind of stuff and the power and the Christi and the center pineal gland and all that is like here. But every single day that we walk away from ourselves. And the same thing about the external gods and praying towards these different lion face and elephant face gods and all this different stuff that we're doing externally, when really the only true in God that you can actually have an experience with, the total supreme being that you can really connect with, would be inside of you, especially if you were looking to do it at any grand level. And so it's that thing again. Going into 2020, the nitpicking should be over. Now, if you're a neophyte, you're just coming in, you got to climb the ladder just like everybody else. However, if you've been in this for a minute and you've seen all these ways of thought and walks of life and all this kind of stuff, and you're still beating up on yourself like you're dealing with Jesuits in the papacy, I would get off of it already and start empowering yourself with the exploration and the joy of what you've gained so far, and actually stop and take a moment and look at yourself and the people that are around you, your family. Like sometimes like people want to get out of relationships, they want to leave their kids, and they imagine there's going to be this great life for them outside and somewhere somewhere else. And the truth is that that's what the I-ness is breeding, and a world of I-ness is actually breeding, is this forever pursuit towards something that's pioneering. But as a balanced being, you have to be able to look at what's there. Like my children, my wife, my friends, my mother, this food, this ocean, these mountains, and realize everything that you're actually trying to get to, you're already there. And only takes for you to remove the aspect from your consciousness that you have not received that yet. And that becomes very important, because remember, we have to continuously, and this is, I guess, maybe a product of the conversation when we get around here next time, just like I said, we have to glide through the cosmos and experience these different days, even days of the week, change up the colors in your clothes. Look at what Earth is doing. Earth is like one of the biggest archetypes of what we should be doing. Some people have been asking me about the diet and what should be the best diet. And what I'm saying is seasonal, a seasonal diet, where you're not eating the same thing every single day for the entire year, because the planet doesn't do that. The planet, the animals that are here, which are cognates of the body that we live in, they don't do that. They forage and eat and consume things based on seasons. And so for us, if we're seasonal beings, then we get this broader palette. So we're less vulnerable for the allergic reactions that we have when we become polarized, okay?